this is really tricky for me to explain, and it's probably one of the harder things for me to describe because the colors are so similar. So in the first three rays, you've got the blue, the yellow, and the pink, right? We all know that those are the first three. And then you've got the threefold flame, which are exactly the same colors. The difference is the threefold flames, and I'll call them flames just to distinguish, are not exactly the same things as the rays. And to explain a little bit different, okay, so I like to think of our beingness, to know ourselves. One of the important questions is, what level of me am I looking at? Okay, if I want to understand myself at the supreme level, the what I call that, like, and I think of it like a pyramid. Okay, for just bear with me, it's going to make sense what I'm going to talk about in just a minute. I think of it like a pyramid. Okay, and no matter which layer of this pyramid I look at, I'm seeing myself. I'm just seeing myself divided in different ways. So the very top of the pyramid that sits on top of the pyramid, could be expressed in metaphor as your oneness, right? Your I am one with all things. I'm merged with divine source. I am one, and so one that I am undefinable. Okay. The all-encompassing non-individualization would be at the very, very, very top of that list. And then when you're that pure source, you can then look at yourself at the next layer down, which is a state of duality. So the one turns into two. And in the two, there's one. You can put them back together and go back up the pyramid, but you can take that one and you can start understanding itself. Like, imagine that divinity at the top of the pyramid wanting to know itself, and it goes, oh my god, there's so much oneness, I can't know myself. Let me divide into two, and let me create what's called duality. So in duality, very much like the metaphor of a yin and a yang, there is a polar opposite to everything. So if I want to know myself, then I can look at my goodness and my badness. For example, that's a state of duality. That's a judgment one, so I don't really like using that. At a spiritual level, it's probably more appropriate to say the God and the goddess, the masculine and the feminine of my beingness. Let me divide the wholeness into two parts and say, okay, let's take a look at this piece and let's take a look at this piece. Okay. And if I look at myself as a dual being, I can look at any quality of myself, find the opposite, and then I will have relativity. I will be able to know myself compared to or related to something else. And so that's the level that we get to know ourselves. And even our egos, guys, have dualistic natures. There is all the positives on one side, all the negatives on the other. There's the angel on one shoulder, the devil on the other one, so to speak. You've got that state of duality. You've got spiritual versus human. That's a state of duality. Why is there a difference? There's really no difference. It's all oneness, right? If you go up the pyramid, it's all one. However, am I spiritual? Am I human? Both. Okay, so great. So if I want to understand my humanity, then I can compare it to my spirituality. If I want to understand my spirituality, I need to compare it to my humanity. And then we can find the understanding of who I am, right? So this is kind of like a who am I pyramid, I guess you could say. Who am I at that oneness level? This is what that looks like. Who am I as explored through a dualistic nature? There's another level. The next level down is your triplicity. All right. And so in your triplicity, you're like, wait a minute. Okay. So this duality thing, that's really good. However, it's a little more complex than that. There are three components, three aspects. Aspect is really my favorite word to describe this. There are three aspects of everything that I am. There's the blue force, the power. There's the pink energy, love. And then there's the yellow consciousness, wisdom. And so it's always the presence of these three aspects in every single part of everything is that oneness. Okay, so now let me look at this. In every action, there is the force of my action, there's the consciousness that's driving it, and there's the energy that's produced by it. Those are your three aspects. In every decision, in every thought pattern, in every feeling, in every part of your being, whether we're talking about a thought, a physicality, an emotionality, even an emotion has all three parts of these aspects in them. Even every consciousness, every thought has every three parts of these aspects in them. Do you understand what I mean? Every part of your physicality has all three aspects in this. But we can divide it into those three parts of us and say, what does it look like from the consciousness that's present? What does it look like from the energy that's present? What does it look like from the force that is present? All right. I know I'm confusing you, but bear with me. We're going to go deeper into this after our opening meditation. All right. Then bring it down another layer. And this is where we get into what I'll term as esoteric psychology. And I'm only using that term because I'm borrowing Alice A. Bailey's fabulous word for transpersonal psychology, esoteric psychology. Some people call it a little bit of both. There's probably many names that go by it. What I call it is the 7 rays. Okay, 7 rays of consciousness. Now that you know that you are an embodied being, that you are in form, that you are in life, that you have embodied, and that you are those 3 aspects created into form, separate from your unique individuality, your oneness with spirit, I should say, but you are still connected to the oneness of spirit, but now you are knowing yourself as an individual you. Once you hit that level of those beautiful 3 aspects, you are now you. Okay, you, I, the I that I am, knows that I am one with the I am of all things, but I am now an individualized soul. And in my individualized soul, there are 7 ingredients that contribute to my consciousness. There are 7 ingredients that contribute to my energy. There are 7 ingredients that contribute to my force. So I'm going to say that again. So in the blue, pink, and yellow of your aspects, inside of each of those 3 categories, you are going to find 7 rays. I'm going to say that again. Okay, the 3 aspects are not separate and unique from the 7 rays of consciousness. The 7 rays of consciousness are all permeating. Each one of these 7 rays has within it, this is a different way of saying it, and each one of these 7 rays has a power, a consciousness or wisdom, and a love. So if you look at those 7 colors behind me, it could be described in the alchemy of the system. And this is, by the way, the level of alchemy, 7 rays, 7 layers of alchemy, 7 levels of soul consciousness, 7 levels of divine power, 7 levels of absolute beautiful love expressed in different ways. Each one of these 7 rays has a power, has a wisdom, and has a love. So the 3 aspects are in the 7 rays. The 7 rays are in the 3 aspects. Just like the 7 rays are in the oneness, and the oneness is in the 3 aspects, and the 3 aspects is in the duality, and the duality is in the 7 rays. So this is just like, okay, what floor are we looking at? So not to confuse you, but it's really like, if you want to know something, do you look at it from this side of the box? Do you look at it from this side of the box? Do you look at it from this side of the box? Do you look at it from above or below? And these are just different departments of being you that can help you to know yourself. So when we talk about the blue, the yellow, and the pink of the 3 aspects, it's a little bit more superseding than the detailing of the 7 rays. So the details that you'll find in the blue, the yellow, and the pink of the rays level are similar to the aspects level. They do correspond, but then there's also additional detailing. It's a little more complex. Okay, there's more words that get grounded, there's more paths to follow. And then it's even been said, and I think that this is really fascinating, and I don't know that I of Leanne would say this, but I have read, and from sources that I do trust and that I really appreciate, and again, this comes from the Alice A. Bailey group, and I haven't read the full book about this, but there is an extension of each of these rays. So the following category at the bottom of the pyramid, I'm going to use her description of it. I won't say that there's only 49, but she would say there were 49 paths to take. So inside of each of these 7 rays, there are 7 main paths to take. Now, Alice A. Bailey, when she was channeling Dwal Kul, the Tibetan, to write her books back in the day, this is like going back a good long minute, there very well could have been 49 paths. I only try to teach the information that's been given to me directly from my guides, and they've never said yay or nay about there only being 49 paths. My soul intuition, my Leanne intuition tells me that there's actually way more than that. That maybe back in the day when light workers were coming onto the planet and starting this ascension process for the planet, perhaps then when she wrote those books, there were only 49 different paths, 49 specific frequencies that needed to be served, and 49 different avenues of light that were being brought to the planet. But since those days, my understanding is that in that bottom level of the pyramid, there are almost infinite versions of this. Okay. So when I say alchemy and oneness, there is inclusion of so many different variations of these 49 paths that can fall under new frequencies, new alchemy as needed for the age, as needed for the day. So I hope that explains a little bit, but you are in this pyramid everywhere you look. There's you, there's information for you. And perhaps that gives it a little bit of a visualization for you, a little bit of a context for, why is there so much information? How do we categorize it? How do we make it simple? And how do we approach this to know? So today, what we're really going to be doing is we're going to be looking at those 3 bottom aspects of the pyramid, but we're going to start at that 3rd one up. We're going to get your 3 aspects in order so that you can really understand what is my power and how is it present everywhere. As a matter of fact, presence is power. If there's existence, that's blue. Okay? Awareness of existence, awareness, consciousness, understanding, that's the wisdom. To be aware of what is the yellow part of your aspects. And I'm really simplifying here. And then the pink is what energizes everything, the feeling of everything. Energy in motion is emotion. And so the feelings that are created, including, by the way, the chi that is universal life force energy, that is the quality of absolute loving substance, the love in everything. And I don't want to say love is an emotion. I want to talk about the fabric of creation. The actual chi is the pink substance. There is energy in everything. So the blue part of it, let me come back to that for a second. If I could describe something a little bit more groundedly. Let me see if I can come up with an example. Okay, let's talk about a cell of your body. Now, inside of a cell, there's a lot of other stuff. There's a mitochondria, there's the cell walls, there's the energy production. There's a lot of systems that go on in a cell, but let's just use the image of a cell. Actually, I'm being told, let's use the image of an atom. Okay, a cell's too complicated. Let's go straight down to an atom, which is still not the smallest thing in the universe. We could go smaller than that, but we're going to stop at an atom for just a second. So the blue aspect of an atom is that it has gravity, it has substance, it has texture, it has weight, it has measurability, it has quantifiable substance. Okay, it is actually physically alive, present. You can point at it, you can look at it, you can. Now, just for the record, I know you can't measure a soul, but now they're starting to be able to measure a soul. So it doesn't mean that it has to be visible to the naked eye or visible to the instruments of today's technology, but even a sound has weight. Everything has gravity, everything has substance. Okay, so the matter, the physicality of itself, and the nature of that physical substance to respond to will, that's part of the blue. Okay, because matter doesn't just exist to exist, it matters. Matter matters because it is holding consciousness. It is holding a program. It is holding the intention of the will of creator. So the willingness to hold the will in a physical form is your blueness. That is raw substance. It is existence. It is power. It's blue, the blue aspect. Okay. Now, the consciousness that it holds, the programs, the intentions, the actual wisdom that it carries, that's the yellow part of it. That's the wisdom in it. It is alive. It is responsive. It is energetically, consciously aware. And now it might not know it's aware. I don't know what an atom thinks, but if an atom thought thoughts, it would think, hey, this is cool consciousness. I'm a part of a consciousness field. Okay. So it has not only substance of willingness, it has substance of consciousness. Got it? And then the third aspect of an atom is, does an atom actually hold still? No. It vibrates, it rotates, it moves, it energizes, it does whatever it does. The gravitational pull spins things around. Even if you've just got two particles, there's movement. And that movement creates energy. It is a producer of energy. And so it is energizing. And it is energized. What is it that energizes it? That's the pink part. And it's got nothing to do with love as a feeling, the way that humans would like to think of love. It's got to do with the fact that it is a reactor, like a nuclear reactor of energy. It is an energetic production thing. It produces actual energy, usable energy that can be then done something with it, right? So you've got something that's responding to the will. You've got something that's holding on to consciousness. You've got something that's capable of creating energy. And that's literally the three aspects that are in every single thing in creation. I hope that makes sense. Okay, now look at you, the macrocosm of you instead of the microcosm of an atom. And every single part of you, there is power, there is force that is constantly responding to your will and expressing itself. That's your blue. You are, whether you like it or not, whether your ego wants to hear it or not, a powerhouse. You are a phenomenal force in this universe. You are the light, what a lot of people call the light of your being. You are the light, the force of light. You are also full to the brim with consciousness. Most of it is unconscious consciousness, but it's still consciousness. There's consciousness everywhere. There's not a single part of you, not a single place that you can point to, not a single spot in the farthest field of your influence that is not embedded with consciousness. Your thoughts have no boundaries. Consciousness is a field of energy, and you are an influencer of that field. And then the third part of your power, the third part of your amazingness is your energy, your feelings, your emotions, your ability as a great big reactor to produce a feeling because you consciously choose it and because you willingly make it happen. You, through your will, your consciousness, and your feeling, the three aspects of your being, are now manipulating the environment around you. And you have the ability, whether you know how to or not, you have the ability to manipulate everything. And I don't use manipulation in this sense as a bad word. It's not a four-letter word. Okay. You are, if you don't like that word, an influencer. You are, if you don't like that word, a creator. You are constantly creating, constantly, consciously and unconsciously, willingly and unwillingly, lovingly or not lovingly. You are always creating from these three aspects of your being, every single component of your life. And when you realize this and you start taking responsibility for it, well, then guess what? You get to start stepping into a certain level of mastery. And again, mastery brings us into that esoteric psychology level where we start tapping into our alchemy and the 7 rays and mixing our ingredients and learning these beautiful lessons of how to be a powerhouse in this world and how to bring the light.